Unless it takes longer than you think, but I am hoping that it moves in as quickly as possible. I worry about those people up there in some of these storms where we lose electric, and even if they then have Wi-Fi in their houses, they cannot make calls because there's no Wi-Fi. For those of you who walk, there was a hole at the intersection of Valley and Evanston on the walking path. The artesian had to do some work, and they are now fixing that. Taxes, I think I've said before that I can't guarantee that taxes won't go up, and we are hearing that they probably will go up 17.5%. We'll have a budget hearing, I think he talks on the 24th, but we will know for sure at that point, but there are council people that he's talking to as we speak, and they are letting everybody know. I saw it on social media in a couple places.
That's both property and school tax?
No, it's only county property, county. We have nothing, the county has nothing to do, the state law says, the state tells us what to bill for, we bill for it, we collect it, and we send it over to them. So whatever decisions they make, but remember, we are in the middle, or I guess we're in the third of the referendum. Because we had the first one last year with the reassessment, we had the second staunch of referendum, and so we should have one more in this school district. Each school district seems to be a little different. We did pass a piece of legislation on data centers this past week. There were many complaints that we did not have enough guardrails. Just as an explanation, we have the guardrails already. They were put into the first draft of the amendment of the ordinance, making it look like there was nothing in place now. Everything that is in that ordinance, other than, I think, closed loop system, just about everything in there is either state code or county code. And we have to always, no matter what you build, before you put a shovel in the ground, the department has to certify that you are in compliance with federal, state, and local laws. So even if it's like electric is state, it is not county, but we have to have a certification of adequacy from them. Same with the water companies, they ask for raises and things through the state, and they are a private company, but we still have to have a certification of adequacy for water, even if you put in a house. So all of that is covered and will be covered as we go along. These are potentials. They're not anything right now that is absolutely going in, and I think we know from a variety of other places that sometimes once the government says, yes, you're ready to go, it's 5 years down the road before they ever get anything on the ground. So we will kind of be watching that. And we have 2 board vacancies at this point that come directly out of council. One of them is for Board of Assessment Review, and the other one is for the Audit Committee. Probably a year ago, we did vote that all of the committees within the county will now have a stipend for the number of meetings that they go to. I think at this point it's $50 a meeting, but I can't swear to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, it pays for your parking if you have to go someplace. And other than,
I don't know.
what is it, what was the other vacancy? Board of Assessment Review and the Audit Committee. Audit Committee, yeah. So just as a reminder, even though we had a reassessment and we had all the applications come in for everything under the sun, you charge me too much, my house is assessed too high, we do assessments. You have the ability to do assessment every year. You can go and you can tell them, they'll never tell them it's too high, but you can always say, or too low, but it can always be, wait a minute, my neighbor's house sold and it was 10,000 below what I'm assessed at. Every year, you have the ability to go in and do that. So, any questions?
You just might want to note that the deadline though to do that was 2 days ago.
The March 14th was for the assessment.
Yeah, so if you want to file an appeal, you gotta wait next year.
Right.
But you can still get the senior tax exemption though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, that's a June
Yeah, it's like a June
deadline.
yeah.
You said the cell tower was not gonna be in Yorkland where it was proposed?
It's going to be in Yorkland, it's gonna be like a property away that
Okay.
the state owns. Yeah,
Is
so
that
it's
on the Marshall site,
across the street.
down in the old MBI?
No, the other way.
Other-
It's up the
Oh, okay,
hill.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Cross Creek.
So it will have to be as tall. 'Cause it'll be on top of the
All right.
I have a question.
Yep.
I guess it was November or December, we were notified that we were getting a refund of property taxes.
Yes,
And
You-
and I inquired,
I know.
I asked for it, and
Yeah.
never heard anything, and I tried to get
And-
back.
and they are still in the process. There are over 9,000 that came in. So they have to go through a process that assures that they're not sending it to the wrong person. So it's not like your request comes in and they went, oh, Joe Blow, oh, let's just write the check and send it out. Because when you have something that's this large and this much money is involved with it, fraud always comes into play, someplace along the line. These people are much brighter than any one of us. So part of the concern was if I went in and I opened a post office box, and then everything to get a refund is online. It's all public knowledge. So I could go into anybody's parcel view and say, oh, look, they're getting $700 back, and I can put down all the information that is on there, which is all that I need, and then I can have the mailing address as a post office box. They're not going to take that. Then they have to go back and they have to call the person, they have to verify that it is the person. Only if it would be in our records as originally being that post office box, would that money go to that post office box. So, as a week ago, they were working on, I think, those that had come in on December 9th. They're going through about 350 a week. So, I'm supposed to get one too, and I just let it sit there. It can go on next year's taxes.
That was a quick, it will just come off of next year's taxes.
It'll just be a credit on next year's taxes. So when you saw the bill that came, the very last bill that came out that showed how much you were supposed to get back, I'm gonna tell you that probably 50% of the people that saw that paid that because they didn't see the parentheses and the little minus sign. And it says, due, or what you owe, or whatever it is that would be the normal line, and they just didn't see the credit. So now all of those on top of anything that had changed, because remember, the counties didn't change. Through all of these appeals, the counties never changed. It was the state that changed. So it went up, it went down, and it came out continually, but with the little parentheses and the minus sign. So we have tons of those that
Your
are.
debit is your credit. County 101 from high school, folks.
If there's parentheses and a minus sign, that's a plus.
I know.
Parentheses with a minus sign.
Oh my God, I'm gonna go back and tell them, you are absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were trying to double tell you that you did not owe this, because they couldn't change the wording on the bill to you owe. And
What did you say, Joe? Wait,
That's
just-
true.
Don't put that in the minutes.
Yeah.
I said if it's a parentheses and a minus sign, that's a plus.
It's like double negative makes a positive, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pull that on
Oh, you
there.
should. You say, hey, you know, I'm
That's
under
why- that's why I'm the
generally accepted accounting practices.
I knew that.
That's why we got him, because he's really good at numbers.
So anyway, it will be coming. I just can't guarantee that.
One question associated with this, I don't know if it's showing up with anybody else or is it an identified problem. Right, I paid my sewer tax, or my sewer bill, went in, and the other day I was looking at the parcel view, it looks like they applied it to my tax account. The property
It wasn't
tax
down in the
account
sewer
wasn't
line?
down in the sewer, showing I still owe the sewer,
Can you give me your address?
so 119 Wyeth Way.
Okay, I'll check.
Yeah, because they're the same account number, the parcel
Because
number
of the parcel number.
and the
Yeah.
sewer number.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I sent my check in, had the account number on it, and I guess with.
I write
what's been
sewer
going
on it
on
because
with the
that's happened
property
before.
taxes, that
Right.
whatever's coming in, they're just,
You mean we should check our sewer to make sure that it was credited correctly?
I would take a look at parcel view.
It never hurts to double check.
I never thought about it before, I was in looking at something else, and I was,
And there are
Why does
separate
it
bills
show
too,
in
so I
that?
saw the same thing, I always put on my, for the bank pay, sewer. That's the first thing I put on, then the account number. It's not, I'm not sending the slip in. Bank pay, let them take the postage.
Yeah.
I always put sewer, so the guys from finance don't grab it first. But it works on it.
Still all goes through finance, no
And
matter
it all
what.
goes to the same people.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
anything else? Thank you, Janet. I heard some of the meetings were lively with the online people at one of the council meetings. I saw some of the recordings.
That they were.
So if you're ever bored, just don't you have to go into one. You can just go online and you can watch some really interesting things occur once the sun sets on the county council meeting, or even the city meetings. They're fun too lately. All right, land use report. We'll see if any of the other folks show up, but I've removed a few things because they are done and over with. Other things, we're just waiting to see what's gonna happen. McDonald's at 5709 Limestone Road. They have not provided any updates and don't plan on doing anything for the immediate future. So we'll have to just keep an eye on the parcel view to see what's happening, if they file any other plans, if they put in a preliminary, and start filing paperwork. PNC branch across the street next to Harvest Market, it's confirmed Harvest Market will be taking over the space. So that will be a matter of what they're gonna do with it, we don't know, but it could be expanded store, could be, storage space, because they don't have a lot of warehousing in the store. So there's all sorts of things, but that is occurring. Wells Fargo Bank, 7270 Lancaster, that's the former Wells Fargo, is going to be Chase Bank. If you wanna see what it looks like, look on parcel view, just simply put in 7270 Lancaster. Don't put in the Pike or you'll end up, getting everything from whatever, wherever. It doesn't like the street address, the last part. But you'll see what the proposal is, it's gonna look like for what they've done. They're basically taking the building, keeping the footprint, reducing it down to only one drive-through lane for an ATM. Doesn't look like they're gonna have a drive-up window service. And they're highly landscaping, which we like, because they're putting in a lot more landscaping than exists. They're not touching the back where the stormwater is, because that's protected and can't be used for any development. So it's a 6,000 square foot building on roughly 3.53 acres. CR zoning, Chase Bank owns it, and they filed their exploratory for retrofit, and we'll see what goes. They'll have walk-in banking, so, I mean, if you've seen the new Chase buildings, like up by Chick-fil-A or down in Pike Creek, they've kind of been the only bank around that's been adding new stores, as they call them, or new banking locations, so they'll have to go before DRAC on the signage. So thankfully, we have a full DRAC now, and hopefully they'll go with, everything that showed in the preliminary showed monument, low signs, not the high pylons that none of us like. So we'll see how that goes. Hartnett Law Building, they still have a pylon sign. That's the one that went for a little over $1 million, just about 5,500 square foot. They're still renovating, the dumpsters are still out there. It'll be interesting to see what their tenants are gonna be. Personally, I think they made a mistake by taking off that one parcel and selling it, and then not doing the rest where US Mail, Stone Mill, and Rita's are, plus I call it the dry cleaners and the Fiesta, Hacienda, Mexican restaurant, and all that, that's all owned by the same folks. So it would have been probably nicer from a standpoint of Hockessin if it had all been put in one bundle for a redevelopment, because the rest of that at some point is going to be sold, we're sure. I think the Hartnetts are slowly working out of the law business, retiring, that's the reason they put the building up. And at some point, we're gonna see something come through for a redevelopment, which will be a lockdown and rebuild. Coffee Run Condos at 614 Loveville. The new building is moving along. I haven't seen a filing of the concepts, but it's gonna be a 5-story building, 45 to 47, maybe 48 luxury condos. It'll be different in that it will have no surface parking. It'll be the only building with underground parking garage for it. And it's building A, which if you look back on the Coffee Run, the parcels have already been decided eons ago when they first built. So they're all on there called out. And it will have to look somewhat like the existing buildings on the outside. But other than that, it's going to be completely different from the standpoint of no master boilers, which the other ones, they all have one giant boiler with hot water and heat and everything else. So it'll be a more modern design and interior mechanicals. I'm sure you guys, the fire company will get your review as well for how do you get the big hook and ladder in there. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question, do we know how many levels the underground parking is gonna be?
Don't know. Yeah, don't know. It could be two, could be one. Those buildings are pretty long and rectangular. So I'm sure they're gonna have to do all sorts of engineering with pylons and posts and everything, but from what I hear, they're gonna have doormen too, so it'll be different than the other buildings. We'll see, don't hold me to that, because, I don't know. Pete and I are gonna apply for that on our weekends when we have nothing else to do, we're gonna be the doormen. NBF master plan, I think Kira's here, and I keep pointing out, I would love to see what Denrick is gonna do with all the things they promised us and didn't do. I know they're gonna finally get the last green bridge behind the old Garrett Snuff Mill. They're going to put the approaches in, that at least has been promised. They spent quite a bit of money, what was it, 6 point something? 6.5, and they bought out most of Bud's property, which was the burnt out building and so forth, and some of the others. If you were down there, and I know Karen and I are there all the time, along a joke going back and forth, there's some concrete pipes that showed up at the small portion right off of Yorkland. That's the last of the residential that's going in, and they're putting in that material in now.
Culvert.
Yeah, they're just the stormwater culverts and sewer culverts and things like that. All the underground utilities that would disappear into the ground. But I still say, and I know Kira would love to see the same type of things. I hope have public bathrooms and places to park so we can actually have other people enjoy the park. So it just, to me, it's like they still have the plan, the original plan and all the beautiful renditions. They spent millions on turntables for Wilmington Western that they bought and then ended up sitting there for almost a decade, and then they sold them at a loss. It's like, yay! Sorry, but state government at its efficient best. Buy high, sell low. So it would be nice to get all that in there. 701 Valley Road, I used to say, actually, that's what I have to cross off. First ranch with 3-car garage, now known as empty lot. In front of the former Morellis property, it was completed in January with demolition. They still say they're going to build what they originally planned. I think they were up against their deadline for having to do something. So they probably moved on that. 520 Valley, that's kitty corner across from Walgreens. 10,000 square foot building, must be by right, which means to be code compliant. Otherwise, they'd have to go for rezoning. So, and I'm gonna try to get Janet to maybe launch one last ordinance before she departs in the fall, is to change daycare, profit for daycare. Don't let them build on residential zoning. Make them a CR or an OR or one of those. I know, you'll be like, they'll all look at you like crazy if you do that one. But what the heck, girl?
Schools defined under state code.
What's that?
Schools are defined under state code.
But we consider it a school when it's a for-profit business though, even at the county level?
If the state says it is, it is.
All right,
Yep.
back to Mike Smith then. Okay. All right, I'll get them to do it with the state. I'll go to Dover again. Parking in the garage. 6042 and 6060 Limestone, that was the major redevelopment with outer rezoning. It's the residential apartments, 8 units, 3 stories with parking lots. I haven't seen anything new lately. I'm sure it's just a matter of they had some HUD funding, or was it HUD funding that was held up with basically red tape from our federal government, which is even better than Delaware. They have more red tape. So we're just waiting to see where that goes. Everything has been through before with the focus group process with GHADA. We looked at different designs. I think there's been 2 or 3 different iterations of possible building there. But this works out. It's I think it hits the, what is it, 75% of the median average income of the area for qualification or something, but it has to meet the HUD plans for that. Former Exxon, across the way. We saw Flagship last month with their initial concept plans and illustrations, a lot of good questions. I've already been in contact with them and talked with their land use attorney and one of their project managers. And they said they took all the notes from the conversation and all the input from the community, and they appreciate that. And they're going to look at integrating those and coming back with an updated plan that will show a lot of that instead of what I deem their cookie cutter plan, which is here's how we build them everywhere else. So they're gonna come back with that, and they have committed to coming back here to show us that before they file their final plans with the county. They have filed their exploratories and everything else just to keep the process going, because as Janet says, it can take years for things to get through if we don't hit the milestone. So they'll do that, but they will come back to us. Don't know when it will be, but as soon as they have something, we'll let you know, we'll put it on the agenda. Again, EPA and DENREC have already completed the long-term perk monitoring and capture system, so that should take care of that. And Valley Grove, the former Cameron Mushroom House property, which is called Valley Grove now, everyone needs to know what that is. They're looking to hopefully get Artesian to finish up. I noticed they've been in the back lot lately, doing a lot of work on that little shed where they're putting the new wellhead in. And I think we were talking about that too, with the pathway, they had kind of damaged that. They've now just got some crushed rock. So once the equipment's out of there, they've got to re-concrete all of that before the developer and the homeowners have to handle that. 56 homes total, they built the last of them and they're up for sale, and basically I think they spec'd them out, because I said originally they were gonna like build the frame of the house and then leave the interiors sort of raw, let people customize them, but they decided after the fact it's probably better to just put in the most requested updates and upgrades people want, that way they're ready to go. Because this market is tough, interest rates are lower right now, but they could go back, so it makes a quick turn for them. So that's what they've done, they decided not to go with the empty shell, but to actually go with the requested interiors that everybody likes. Across the way, if you've noticed, there's a ton of equipment parked over there. Giant quad wheel Dallas Chalmers tractor dragging the earth scraper and everything else. And hint, if you've got a spare rubber tire, you might want to drop it on the pile that everybody else has left at the front there. Just don't get caught because there's a camera. Just always funny tires. Nobody wants to pay $5 to get rid of a tire. They are moving along with everything from the street layout, driveways, parking lots, overflow parking lots. Those are all laid out. The utility work is going in. If you saw all the black corrugated pipe arrive last week in piles out there along with everything else, they've got a ton of stuff going in the ground. I would say there's millions of dollars in the dirt before they make one house on the top of it. So it's going to take a long time for that to happen. And Pete, the new historic marker, hopefully is going to get placed at some point, right, at the house. I know you put in for it and begged and cajoled the folks down there at the State Historic, but no confirmation?
No.
What do we have to do, write a letter or something, or an email, or go with pitchforks and torches?
I don't think that one's an official marker.
Is it not an official one for the state?
No, it's
Really?
one that they are asking the developer to put in.
Okay, so but it'll be like the Delaware one, just not a official
I
historic?
have no idea.
Okay.
To commemorate the spigot.
Yeah.
I mean, so the developer agreed to it, but I think the biggest issue was that where the spigot's located is back
Right.
on the property. And if that goes up along the road, with the amount of information that they wanted to have displayed, I don't see that
It'd
happening.
be a big marker.
It would be a big marker, yeah.
Maybe we can have, just a hint for those in the state, maybe a QR code, because we have these things called smartphones, just scan it, you get all the information.
They were thinking of doing that for the historic markers as they install them now, and having more information available online for each one, so that you can upload pictures and all kinds of.
Yeah, have like the brief thing, want to learn more, scan here.
Yeah, people are getting upset that you can only have, so many lines of information, so they said, that's a great way to take care of,
I think it's fantastic.
satisfying.
Right. Other places have done it already elsewhere. Okay, thank you. Lantana Square, no updates on that. The shopping center owners have done their engineering reports and studies. They've done a lot of improvements there. I think the best thing was putting in those wooden ballers to keep people from driving into the glassy water, into the trenches when it's so calm, it looked like it was pavement. It's happened a couple times, once that was almost serious. You got three people that rescued that guy in the car and punched him out the rear window, and three of them got sucked through the pipe and came out the back of Lantana in the stormwater pond. So, and one of them was the guy who owns the hardware store, Ace Hardware. Yeah. So, by the way, for anyone that ever calls DelDOT and asks them to put grates on storm catch basins, that's why they don't do it. Because they kill people, kids and animals if they get sucked in, because there's no way out. So they used to do that, by the way. They had in my neighborhood, and we moved them all.
Well, they did that after there were 2 girls in Bear that were killed. 3 went through the pipe, 2 did not make it. But then there was this big outcry to say you have to put the grates over. Well, all that does is suck people up to the grade because the pressure is pushing back on them. You know where to find them.
So,
Yes, exactly.
unintended consequences. Everyone always thinks they have the answer until it's reality. All right, we heard about the cell tower out in Yorkland. Thank you for that. And the last one is on Paper Mill Road. That's the 1510 paper mill with the rezoning from suburban to suburban transition, S to ST, dropping down. 32 age restricted townhomes. They take the one existing two-story historic home. I can't remember the name of the guy in the garage. But they're gonna turn the driveway into the community and go from there and put the entrance further down the hill. So that's everything I had, and I took off the retirement home across from Utah because they're up and running and the compliance and everything else and a few others that were basically done. So we're down to a page and 3/4 now of open and potentially active projects. Any other questions, comments, anything anyone else saw? Yellow sign that popped up recently that I might have missed in my coffee runs?
I might have one about the car wash.
Yep.
So I contacted someone in the Department of Land Use, and his last name is Horkoff. I think he's the chair of some aspect of land use at the county land use office. And I was asking about the RPA-TAC group. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a group that is sometimes used when a project is sitting on a water resource protection area like that is.
Yep, we've had it.
So I was curious about how that group becomes activated. Is it the developer or a citizen, or how does it work?
It's automatic, actually.
So I got a response from him that the land use exploratory plan report had been finished, but they forgot to upload it. So it is now uploaded, and that was the date. I'm not sure, there's no date on the document. I got the document from him, and the exploratory plan report said that the project was unacceptable. And then they gave the reasons why. So I then contacted one of the engineers that Horkoff copied, who had been involved in the review, and he emailed me to say the application will need approvals from DRAC and also RPA-TAC and then the Board of Adjustments. So first, DRAC and RPA-TAC have to look at it and give a positive review before it goes to the Board of Adjustments. He also said those are all public hearings.
Yes. And DRAC is not a technical review, it is, I call it signs and gingerbread. It's
Right.
basically, the signage has to comply with the Hockessin Village Design Review Advisory Committee guidelines that has been set up for these village overlays.
Which is also online.
Yeah, so I just thought, then he also says, let's see, with regards to the Cockeysville WRPA, which is what I was asking about, specifically, the applicant will need to submit an environmental impact assessment, which will then need to be reviewed by the county and by RPA-TAC, which will then provide a recommendation to the board. So I thought I would just.
Yeah, the panic is triggered, and I'll check the land use parcel view to see, because those reports, like you said, they should be on there, and they're uploaded now, so I'll check those.
Yeah, so none of those are there now.
Yeah, and they did say there will be variances, because they're next to a stream, that, even when it was Starbucks, there's this little waterway
Right.
drainage, and because they were gonna, sort of encroach on it, it had to have an adjustment for that, just for setbacks and such, but they were open about that, and it's, you know, every site's gonna have something that's off slightly, but I'll look and see, and thank you for that.
Yep.
So I'll look and check that out. All right, anything else anyone has? All right, that is the land use report. Pete, tell us what happened in history this day in 1801.
Sure. We're doing quarterly meetings, so I'll try to keep this short. We're really in need of a treasurer and a secretary. We have all of our paperwork set up, it's all on a form. So all we need is somebody to plug numbers into a spreadsheet, basically, and make a meeting agenda and then turn it into meeting minutes. So, you know, it's pretty simple stuff. What?
Use AI.
That would be interesting.
It works. It actually works pretty well. You'd be surprised.
We'll bring that up at our next
Just don't
meeting.
over threaten
But it's a great way to get volunteer credit for, a company that you're working for, you want some extra hours. You could double those hours and I won't even know, say you're putting in, 100 hours. 100 hours times in a month. But, yeah, that would be great if we could get some help. I mean, it's really straightforward stuff if you're used to doing treasurer's work. Very, very, very few transactions. But speaking of transactions, this past winter, we spent almost $10,000 in snow removal. We don't even have any streets or driveway, we have a parking lot. But we also have a long walkway that needs to be maintained properly because there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. So just to keep down on, liability issues, we have to have that maintained. So this past winter really, really took a beating. So that's about, 3 months worth of our income was spent on just snow removal. And then we also have to pay for the heating, oil, and the electricity. So pretty rough for us past couple months. But I'll try to get more of an official report. Trish, I'm keeping you busy there. You okay? Keeping up? Okay. I think that's enough update. But we're not doing any programming coming up. We don't have anything planned. We did have somebody come up to us with a bunch of things from 1976. We've had a few collections where people have brought us the 4th of July events that had happened back in 1976, which was pretty interesting. So hopefully we'll have them scan in and maybe have a small display in our museum for that. But it's not the first that I've seen. People have, pretty good family collections of that event.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Sure thing.
Mr. Hutchins, the HBA meets tomorrow night, don't they?
Yeah, our meeting tomorrow night is at what they call Founders Hall, which is the old building for the Hockessin United Methodist Church. Tomorrow we are scheduled to have Ms. Kilpatrick and Mr. Smith talk about legislative initiatives and things that are going on that will hopefully be positively effective on our local businesses. We also have a group from the church talking about the clothes closet. So that meeting tomorrow is networking starts at 6:30 and the business meeting starts at 7. Also, the Greater Red Clay Brandywine cleanup is scheduled for the 28th.
And that's rain or shine unless it's like.
It is a rain or shine event, yes.
Okay. Charles always does that. All right, well, that's perfect. You lead right between you and Pete, lead right into the 4th of July. So, I think Tom had in the minutes last time that we are $38K short for this year. We have a bigger finale. So I think I don't know what the city of Wilmington's spending, because they didn't do any last year. But I still think we're gonna be a bigger 4th of July display than what Wilmington has on plan, unless they suddenly dip into the coffers and break out a bunch more money. And our insurance and porta potties, I always joke that porta potties cost as much for a month as they do for the one day of the 4th of July. And we usually get them the day before and they pick them up the day after or on Monday, the next work day. So spend a lot just so people can have some comfort stations and not be using the different sports fields. Yeah, I say go to Wawa because they have so much stuff going on anyway. But yeah, we're looking for sponsors again, as always, and we can get probably 10 new sponsors at about $2,500. That would go a long way to putting a dent in everything that we have planned. And I know I always fret and worry about it, and at some point I tell Joe, stop telling me just so I don't sweat so much. And it all seems to happen, but I'm just nervous because everybody's trying to do one this year, even those that don't normally do a 4th of July celebration. So it might be a little tougher this year, and with the economy and taxes and everything else, you never know. So I'm hoping we don't have to cancel, which would be terrible, because once we made the deposit already, that's gone if we don't go off with it. So it's a big chunk of change. But Janet, when did you start this? Way back in when?
I think it was 1989.
So you were still in high school when the first
Yeah,
one went off.
exactly.
And
That was my
I don't think
project.
they ever canceled except for one time during COVID when Kenny did it and they just didn't do anything. Other than that, we've always had it, but they didn't lose the deposit or anything because they hadn't done it. So I'm hoping we can continue that streak, get through the semi-quincentennial, 250th. And if you know any businesses, any people that happen to have a little extra money, they got their tax returns early and they're happy, got their deduction on their assessments, and would like to, we are 501c3, totally tax deductible, and as Pete steals my line, just tell him you gave twice as much. I mean, we don't know, that's between you and your tax advisor, but, I'm kidding, in case there's anybody here who's a CPA or a tax preparer, but, that would be greatly appreciated. Trish, I think you're gonna prepare for our upcoming elections in May.
I guess so. We have one every year.
You always do it every year, so I assumed, because you were here and kicking, that you would do that. And you have a list that you can get to us for the next meeting for April, so we know
Yes, I
who's up,
do. In
who's
fact,
down.
we are seriously undermanned. I printed out.
Underpersoned.
Yeah, underpersoned. I printed out our board of directors and, we only have, 23
23 out of the normal 38.
out of about 40. We're supposed to have about 42 and we only have 23.
Yeah.
So if you know anybody in any neighborhood at all, even if they already have a representative who has somebody who would like to be on the GHADA board, tell them to please email me, and I would be more than happy to put them on the election slate.
All right, and Trish's email is on the bottom of the agenda. All right, unless anybody has anything new, exciting going on, Trish, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Del Dot, you want to talk about Del Dot and the,
Del
traffic
Dot
circle.
held a meeting on Monday, March the 2nd, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Good News Church, to let the residents know that they're planning to stick us with a traffic circle at the intersection of Route 48 and 41. They essentially have a traffic circle there already, except that it isn't round. It has a little triangular piece of property, and it only has slightly gentle curves for the trucks to go around. They would like to put a round middle in there and make a tight slalom course so that we can have a lot more overturned trucks in Hockessin. I think it's a perfectly rotten idea. I told them. I filled out their little form at the meeting and I sent them a very nice letter explaining why I think it's a rotten idea. And I think that if anybody else agrees with me that it's a rotten idea, that you should also put in your 2 cents.
Okay, I had this discussion when I went to the well, and it's not a traffic circle, it's a roundabout.
And they can call it whatever they
No,
want.
no, there are 2 sets of rules for traffic circles and roundabouts. And traffic circles are smaller than roundabouts, okay? And there are different stop rules for it. So anyway, I thought I'd clarify that it's a roundabout.
Thank you.
And it's much larger.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how did they have any configurations to show what it would look like?
Oh, yeah. And the way it's set up, because trailers do not follow tight slalom curves, the trailers that are coming in from Route 41, Newport Gap Pike, will sort of track over the bike path that they're planning to put along the side, and then when it turns around to the other way to get onto 41 North, it'll track over the center lane, and so by the time they get done tracking over both sides, anybody in the way had better be wary.
It's 2 lanes everywhere.
Yes, but the trailers are going to go through both of them.
Well, part of it's 2 lane already, where they come around. The only problem I really saw was the closeness of the first traffic light. You can see if that traffic light
One by Sanford School.
is there and it turns, that's gonna back up like, you know.
Everything is going to be backed up completely in all directions.
And they're supposed to have, the big thing was to relieve the backup on 48.
Well, they caused the backup on 48, and it's because of the way they have the traffic lights set up.
Absolutely. And since they're still, presumably still in place, then I still see that backup occurring, you know.
As a matter of fact, I mentioned that on the on the letter that I sent
Oh,
them,
good for you.
and about the Withers Way traffic light,
Yeah.
and the fact that it's, in the summertime, they don't have that backup. It's just amazing.
Do you have a website where the information could be found for the
Go
illustration?
to Mike Smith's website, and I think it will redirect you there.
All right.
DelDOT does have a website for every project.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I'll just go on their site and look it up. But I can tell you from where I grew up, they ended up with a major three-way intersection from an interstate highway and two state routes. And they had a warehouse that had something about 1,500 to 2,500 trucks per day going through, coming off the highway, making a left at the traffic lights that were there. They put in a roundabout.
Okay, thank you, Pete.
And it took about 3 months before they stopped knocking the signs over. But after that, it's worked very well, and there's no backups, and the amount of truck traffic, the difference, as Alan pointed out, the roundabouts are usually larger and more level, that's why I'm curious about seeing how they do this, because there's a lot of slopes and grade there where it goes off. My guess is they're gonna have to push into that big triangular area where everybody puts signs up during elections and take some of that for the roundabout. So I'd be curious to see how big it's gonna be and how much
I took
stacking.
a collection of their handouts, which had big photos and things, and artist impression, if you like.
Can I just-
Shall I send it to you?
Yeah, that'd be great. You could email, that would be wonderful if you have
Oh,
it.
too big for that, no, no.
Too big?
All these things are about that big.
Yeah, bring them down. That would be great if you have them. Just, drop them to me.
Can I just mention that there are between here and where you turn on 30, there are roundabouts for all of the trucks that go in that direction.
Yeah.
They're new, but they're there now.
Just a quick question, do we know if there's gonna be any more public hearings, any more
They
discussions
were
like the one
pretty,
that you
they
attended?
were pretty, cagey about this thing. The only way I found out about it was because it was in Mike Smith's newsletter. And I wrote it down on my calendar, but I didn't see any other information anywhere about a public hearing.
Interesting.
Well, I'm going back, let's see, Patty Blevins was our senior senator she touched Hockessin. And I remember that year because it was an election year, and she decided to have the large green and white interstate signs put in. You can still see the concrete base monuments up there on the right as you turn, and don't go towards Wilmington, turns like you're going to Stanton. They put up the sign, all truck traffic goes this way. So she instantly ticked off half of her constituency, because it was all in her district, because they redirected truck traffic down where all those residents were, and those homes were closer than going down towards Wilmington where the homes were set back in developments. And she did that with DelDOT and whatever else, and there was no public hearing. The sign showed up and it was an outcry, and I think it was the Good News Church. You couldn't find a place to park and a place to stand and listen to the meeting, and the rest they say is history. The signs came down and Patty was no longer a state senator. So
Patty was no longer a senator, and then the signs came down.
that's right, then the signs came down.
300 people
That's
showed up.
correct
at-
order.
300 people showed up at the meeting, and she lost by 300 votes.
Yeah.
Because they asked her to take them down before the election, and she said no.
So, elections have consequences. So it'll be interesting to see, but this is the agency doing it, there's nobody politically backing this, so this is DelDOT with their safety border improvement, which that's a tough border, and so we'll see. All right, anything else anyone has or heard of? If not, we will open it up for good of the order. Anybody got any leftover Girl Scout cookies they want to dump off on us? Anything coming up with events, new groups? All right, motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye. We will see you in April, and I can tell you that I probably didn't put the date on. I did, April 20th. Next meeting, April 20th. We will be here, 17th.
Well organized there, Mr. Seeley. Well organized.
That's to keep me from, that's so I can be lazy. I go to a lot of meetings.
What's that?
I go to a lot of meetings, so makes it easy.
Like I said,
There's another group I just started. They're right down next to the Wilmington Western Railroad. Yeah.
Well, I guess what you get
They're
is
cheap.
an extra day. $15 Sunday.
Like the beach, it's a breeze.
Yeah. Refreshing. I'll probably see you tomorrow night.